More than once, I remember saying, how can I be doing this? I'm just a mom. I can't do this. But what I found out after all these years is just a mom is what they needed all along. My daughter was 10 years old, and she had had some medical issues herself, and I suddenly just wanted a baby. And one day on television, I saw them advertising that the state of Connecticut needed foster parents. And I remember thinking, I just stood there for a minute and I said, I could have lots of babies. It wasn't long after being licensed that I got the call. He was 5 days old. And I do remember being so excited because I had the nursery already and everything was ready. I was so excited that when I went to pick him up, I took diapers with me and no clothes. It always went smooth, really. I was always quite amazed that the baby seemed quite comfortable coming into my home and into my life. And at that age, they're so young, they just want someone to be there to cuddle them and love them. Almost all my calls started with, Mary, will you take this baby? When I brought Matthew home from the hospital, he was a critical care cardiac baby. He was what they call a line of sight baby. I always had to have him in my line of sight because his situation was tenuous at best. I got sick myself one night and I ended up on the floor. The fire truck came. I told them I wasn't going anywhere until Matthew was taken care of. So I said, I'm staying here until you have another ambulance to take Matthew to Children's Hospital in Seattle. They know all about him. They can take care of him. So eventually there were 2 ambulances in my driveway. And so my ambulance driver said, okay, Matthew's in good hands now, so we're going to leave. And they took me to the hospital. They had called the hospital and there was miscommunication and they declined to take him. Eventually, about midnight, I was released from the hospital and I called Children's to see how Matthew was doing and they said he's not here. So then I didn't know where he was. I knew this was a critical care cardiac baby that needed lots of medication and his feeding tube would be running out of food, and about half an hour or so later, they found him at my local hospital. After that happened, I said, this has got to change. And so I went to the ombudsman. I went to the state. I went to my legislators. I went to everybody that I could think of. And we had numerous meetings. And after quite a while, we eventually had a health and safety plan in place, especially for the medically fragile infants, that it is known right up front if there's an emergency where you go for help. So I was really proud to get that set up. Grayson, and again, he was a newborn. He was a twin. He had a twin brother, Noah. Noah was healthy, but small, and Grayson was in critical condition from the moment he was born. And so when Noah got to be 4 pounds, they allowed him to go home to his birth mother. And Grayson stayed in the hospital about a month or so longer until he was stable enough, and I brought him home. I would stop by the DSHS offices to tell them how Grayson was doing, and each one of those appointments, the father, the baby's father, would always come and be in there with the visit with the doctor with me. This one day I stopped in and I said, the father didn't show up for the medical visit today. I was kind of surprised. A CPS worker came out, Child Protective Services, and she said, Mary, could I talk to you in another room? So I went in the other room, and she told me that the mother had murdered Noah. It's hard for me. Grayson for, I think, until he was almost a year old. And a distant relative came forward and took him. And I don't think it was maybe, but 3 months later she called me and said that baby wasn't going anywhere. She said, I love him. I will do whatever I can to adopt him.
Well, this tree is very special to me because almost every Christmas I had a baby. And so I wanted the tree in the family room to say something special about the baby. So I started with the little shoes. At the hospital, you could buy little shoes in the gift shop. And I thought, oh, I'll just get a pair of those and put the baby's name on the bottom. So as you can see now, I have probably about 60 pairs of little shoes on my tree. When I'm decorating the tree each Christmas, this is a walk down memory lane. And the first thing that goes on the tree are the baby shoes. And so by the time I'm done, I have remembered every baby.
As is so often the case when you're taking foster children, especially the little babies, that day one baby left in the morning and Claire came in the afternoon. So I hardly had time to sterilize the bottles and the linen, get the clean linen before I had another baby. And so she was a drug-affected baby as well. Right about the time, she was about 1.5 years, and a family came forward who wanted to adopt her. And at the same time, I got a call from the state saying, we believe that Claire could be HIV positive, so you need to have her tested as soon as possible, because the adoption was moving forward. And so I was incredulous. They did some surgery on her eye as well, and I thought, oh my gosh, there was a team of doctors that operated on her eye, and if she is HIV positive, they could have been, exposed as well as myself. And I had Joey then too, when I had Claire. And so they were always, playing together and stuff. And it's quite different when you have an infant in your house that could be HIV, because you're taking care of their every need. I'm peed on, puked on, and pooped on a regular basis, so I'm right in their faces all the time, so I'm really scared. Nowadays, you can get the results back in minutes, 20 minutes. Then it took 3 days. That was the normal. So we brought Claire back to the house, and for 3 days, you live with this thought of, does she have HIV? Have we all been infected? Finally, at the end of 3 days, we got the call that she was not positive. So I remember just crying just from relief for her. I found that all of my babies coming from such bad circumstances, that a lot of them needed to be tested. I spoke with other foster parents. A lot of foster parents had the same concerns that I had. So it was another fight for me that I'm still fighting 12 years later to have these babies tested. This will be, I believe it's my 5th bill to have them tested. What I've asked for is if the baby's birth mother, if they do not know her serological status, in other words, if the birth mother has not been tested and the baby tests positive for drugs at birth, I want them tested for HIV.
I'm standing in the white nursery where most of my sick babies were, and I'm holding a picture of Hannah. She was the last baby to be in my care, and she was severely drug affected. She was 3 months in a detox center for infants. Most babies are there for 1 month. She was there for nearly 3. Finally, I decided I couldn't keep fighting for the babies in the legislature at the same time taking care of them. So I asked that Hannah be moved, and I closed my license. She was my last baby. So I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's ever been tested. When my babies leave, that's the saddest part. You don't know where they go most of the time, and you don't ever find out how they do. 3 things I would have to say captured my passion, and that would have been the military, the babies, and now my writing.
You kind of doubt what you are made of. You know, how much can you do? I used to think, I have a military background myself. I used to think I was military ready. I can do anything, you know. But when I got these little babies, it was different. I had to kind of relearn that I was capable of doing things. And I learned that when put to the test, I could step up to the plate, and that was really important. You're always scared, but you see past that and you can do what you need to do. There's so many children out there, they need you. They just need someone to love them. I look at it like this. I've helped a lot of kids, and I feel good about that. But if everybody could help just one person, what a different world we'd live in.